the clock hits 13. You've been working, but you're flirting with the weekend. You can freak out. 1 in a million. You're a gem shine when the light grows dim. Sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome in. Welcome. Getting my coffee ready. I hope you are too. Perhaps tea, matcha. Let me know what you're drinking. What you drinking? It's coffee date time. Sunday at 4. How are you guys? Say hey as you're hopping in so I know who's in live. I have a topic I want to explore together today on being ready for anything. I mentioned this throughout a few of my stories in the past week that I thought I would pop on, and for the live today that I would share some ways to prepare your home for things that may come. I'm feeling it on my heart like it's good timing to be talking about this. But also I want to just create space for us to be here together. Listen, part of the intention for this coffee date was from a place of, I personally, and let me know if you're feeling the same way, I am so over it, so tired of the junk food diet that we find here on social media. I'm so done with it. Whether it's the constant fluff, like a lot of people just just keep posting the same things they were 3, 4, 5 years ago, or just constant posts that keep you in this state of nervous system shutdown, right? I just really felt this pull to want to create something here where we could infuse more heart into what we are doing here, because otherwise, what are we doing? I mean, I've even come to this place where I wouldn't care if it all went away tomorrow. I truly wouldn't. You guys, I have been building as an entrepreneur online for 12 years, creating communities. I probably run, I don't know, like 25 different community Facebook groups, for example, over the years. If it all went away tomorrow, I wouldn't care, but I would miss the true connections that many of us have created on these platforms over the years. And I would start over again tomorrow with 10 people right here doing this very thing. My point in saying that is we are in a time right now where it's like people are living in different worlds, right? There's just so much emptiness in these spaces that I wanted to create a space for us to connect and I want you to leave these talks feeling something, feeling either hopeful or feeling connected, or that you made a new friend. Something I mentioned in the last time we were live here together 2 weeks ago. I said there's a lot of value in being here live for these conversations because you're going to meet more people like you here. I create a bit of a container in this space, meaning I don't tend to attract people here to these conversations who are not interested in taking more ownership and responsibility in their life. I just don't. I mean, sure, they're here. Sure, they'll hit my DMs, but they're not going to stay long for the conversations here because it is either going to be incredibly boring to them or they'll be so triggered that they won't be able to stay. So my point is, if you're looking for more people out there in the world that have values similar to yours, and that's really important in this time, that you have a community around you that reflects back to you the values that you hold dear in your heart. If you're looking for more people like that, there's a lot of value in being here live. So all that to say, welcome. I hope you have a nice mug of something to sip on as we enjoy our conversation today. So how's your exit, your peaceful exit out of the systems going? We explored that topic, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and we were talking about various ways to don't need to announce it, right? You don't need to declare that you're done with it all and that you're leaving it all, but you can certainly start to make steps, plant seeds forward into where you want to go. And part of that is what I want to talk about today. There is a resource I want to share with you guys that I'm going to refer to today. I'm going to type it in. Let me see if I can pin it. Come on. Can you not pin anymore? I don't know if you can. There we go. Okay, just so you know, you don't hold your link to pin it, you just tap it. All right, and let me do the same over here for Facebook. Hey, Facebook. So I'm on Instagram and the Whole Fit brand page over on Facebook. So I just typed a link for you guys. It's a new blog post that I'll be kind of referring to today as we go. You know me, if you've been here for a while, I like to make everything very efficient. So as I'm talking about things, all of the links for things I'm talking about are going to be there, the list of all the things. It's called The Prepped Home. And you want to know what's wild is I actually started this blog post in 2020. I had to change the draft date on the blog post. I had it saved sitting there that long. I think it was July 2020. And that's about the time when I started to feel like, all right, if you were with me in April of that year, I did a video called What Do We Have Here? And you got to know my perspective on things that were going on at that time. And it was very clear to me midway through 2020 that this train was moving forward, that this was much more than 2 weeks to slow the curve. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because this blog post I had actually started writing for you in July 2020 as we were starting to look at things within our own home and things that we wanted to just feel more prepared with and having. And I'm only just getting around to sharing that content and that blog post with you now. So before I kind of go more into the topic, I wanted to scroll up and see who we have on here. Yeah, say hello so people know you're here, because again, what I would love for you to do, I'll mention this towards the end. If you see somebody here on the live that you have kind of that resonance with, you feel it based on the questions they ask or the comments or what they're typing, I think that if you're here live, be here with us, engage with us, comment, because there is probably somebody who's on here too who would love to connect with you. And what I would suggest is if you do see somebody on here and you feel that connection with what they're writing, people are showing you their hearts through even being here and through the types of comments and questions they ask. So message them, add them as a friend, message them, start those connections. I think we are all going through a season of rebuilding right now, whether it be general in life, our homes, our businesses, but in relationships too. There are relationships that have not done well through this last 2 years because they were meant for a certain season in our lives, right? And I know a lot of you can relate to that. Hey, Chantel, cooking breakfast. Awesome to have you on. Hey, Julie. Just scrolling to see. Oh, awesome. We've got lots of you on here. We've got about 200 between the two. Okay, so it's funny. So we live a few minutes from the ocean, and so there's something that I see happen quite a bit. Those of you that live in Florida, you're very familiar with like the Florida afternoon rains, right? Many days out of nowhere, the clouds will move in and rain will start falling. Sometimes it'll only last for a couple of minutes, but sometimes it goes a little bit longer. But you're always warned a little bit that, the clouds, they tell you, and sometimes you can try to actually like almost predict where the rain's actually going to fall based on the cloud patterns and try to outsmart it a little bit. But here's what I wanted to share. In the afternoons or whatever, I'll go for a walk Logan down near the beach, and this has happened many times where I've seen the clouds starting to come in, and I notice that people are down at the beach. They've got all their blankets sprawled out, their coolers are open, they're reading books, magazines, whatever. They see the clouds coming in, but I rarely see somebody pack up their things to go find shelter, even though they can see the dark clouds starting to come in, and it's quite obvious it's going to start raining. So then what happens? It's the clouds open up and the rain starts to fall. And what you see people do is they start to scramble aggressively to grab everything and run for shelter. And it's always just such a simple thing, but I think about that all the time in relation to what we're talking about here today, that when the signs are there, that when you are getting enough feedback from the external that, hey, Houston, we may have a problem here. There is a lot of turbulence going on, and you might want to prepare for what may come. You can choose to not, right? You can choose to keep sitting at the beach and just assume that maybe the clouds are just going to blow over, and it might work out for you. But what if it doesn't go that way and the clouds rip open and you get completely drenched, and in your mind you're thinking, man, why didn't I just grab my stuff and go find some shelter? This is just something I wanted to share because it's a simple example, but it's something I often think about. I mean, you could think of a more drastic example, Noah and the ark, right? In the Bible, it at that time, and it's referred back to in the book of Revelations, as it was in the days of Noah. That's what the book of Revelation says. As it was in the day of Noah, when people continued on their drinking and their merry ways in distracted states, they could not discern the times. And if you think back to Noah and the ark, how many people mocked that preparing, right? That's really the essence of that story. Is Noah was mocked for what he was doing to prepare for what did become a colossal flood. And I'm just trying to set up this conversation because you can do nothing with the type of information we're going to talk about today. Often when you are talking to somebody and they're preparing for things, it's so easy to just write someone off like, oh, you're nuts, like that's not going to happen. And I mean, I think if we've learned anything over the last few years, we've learned that we really can't say that anymore. We can't say that that'll never happen. We've all said that over the last few years, I'm sure at least once, and then sure enough, that very thing happened. And you know, there are opposite extremes to this. And not even extremes, but there are people who they live with a prepper mindset. Being here in the state of Florida, it's wise to be prepared for a hurricane because there are hurricane seasons, and you definitely would not want to be caught in a situation where you could have prepared and you didn't, right? And so there's varying degrees to what I wanted to talk about today, but anyway, let's kind of go into this topic, and I want to hear from you as you're on live. What of this are you already doing? You know, are there things that you're thinking about? Like, okay, if this happens, then we'll be ready in this way. And one of the things that I've shared before, and it's a very simple instruction I often give my daughters. They're 10 and 12. They're at this age, right, where they're trying a lot of new things all the time. And they've been through a lot of change. We've been through a lot of change as a family, as I know so many of you have in the last 2 years. And with that change comes a lot of emotions, right? And so what I really simply often say is, if we're prepared, we won't be scared. Where can we be more prepared as we go into whatever this change is that's bringing up these emotions? How can we be more prepared? Or when something doesn't go well and they're feeling these heavy emotions of frustration and overwhelm, we look at it and think, where could we have been more prepared? What could we do to avoid this feeling or this situation next time? And really, it comes back to being prepared. And I think it's very sensible in these times that we're living in to think about your current situation and just ask, what could you do to feel more prepared? Yes, I love that. Preparedness, not panic. Be proactive, not reactive. Fear, I was talking to my mom yesterday and she said something and I wrote it down. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. And we were talking about this topic. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Preparedness is a decision, right? So to actually be proactive is a decision rather than to wait and put it off. Like the clouds are coming in, you could wait it out, or you could think, I better act quick, right? Yes, I love this example. Pensy Lane, it says, we have collected all the things so we don't need to go to the hospital. Hubby taking care of home defense. I have my own plan as well. Plenty of food and ways to share with others. Okay, I want to just focus on that for a hot second because it's a very good thing to be prepared because then you're in a better position to help other people, right? You can't give from this empty cup. We know that. We've talked about this all the time, right? And this is a common thing for mothers, right? A lot of mothers experience this feeling of depletion at times, like they can't give more to their family. And yet if they gave a little more to themselves, they actually could give more to their family, right? So this is one of those situations that if you are somebody who has a heart to help other people, you want to be that light in the dark. You want to be somebody that could be that resource and that expander for someone else and that support. You need to have a solid plan in place to make sure that you're not depleting yourself in wanting to do that at some point. Keep the comments coming. That's great. I don't want to be prepared, but I don't even know where to start. I've got a lot of food when we were only allowed so many people in the grocery store and the food expired. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of different, and actually I know we have several people on here I recognize that do live with more of a prepping mindset always. I love what Tammy said. Preparedness in these areas are essential: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. That's great. So I'm going to share with you more of our approach. Okay. And I've got this resource for you with items you can look at. What I'll just say is do what you can with what you have. Think about, and stretch yourself a little bit. What is an area that you have been wanting to learn more about? That one of those areas for me is self-defense. So I took a concealed carry course a few months ago and I'm getting my license. And, that's just one of those areas that I have felt conviction around. And in many other ways, I feel prepared, right? But that's my own personal conviction. And so what is it for you? Like, what is something you want to learn? Is it growing your own food? Is it starting in a small way, learning how to grow plants from seeds and setting yourself up so you just have something that you're pursuing under this interest of being more prepared? There's so many great comments in here, and I it's always tough to not get distracted as you're going. So I'm going to come back at the end here and go through them. But if you guys have a separate device and you want to open up the blog as I go through some of these resources, I've pinned it there. It's wholefit.com/blog/the prepped home. So one of the things I've given you there is a little notes page of categories to think about as you're thinking about preparing your home. So the categories being water, food, light, power, medical/sanitary, communication, self-defense, and then in case of fire. So, or to create fire, like if you need to create warmth. So you can find this to take some notes. This is welcome to my brain. This is how I work. I always create the things that, if I was watching this content years ago and just starting this out, this is what I would want. So I've created that for you. So the checklists I'm referring to, when you download the PDF, you're going to have links for all of the things. Hey, Haley, miss you girls too. You're going to have links for all the things I'm mentioning, and these are the things that we purchased for our home. So they're vetted in that way. Okay. These are the very things that we purchased and that we have. So I'm going to just kind of go through this, skim it a little bit. I'm not going to obviously read this checklist or the blog post, but you can go over there to find the various things. So the first one I want to talk about is water. So what is your plan for clean drinking water? Because that is going to be the most critical supply you would want to be prepped with if something was to go wrong. And you want to be thinking here, like, what if you didn't have access to power? What if you didn't have access to any water around you? Like maybe you have a little creek or an ocean or a lake or something near you, but what would you do with that to make it drinkable, first of all? So it's great if you have access to a body of water of some kind, but how are you going to convert that into something you can drink, especially if you don't have access to power? So one of the most common ways to prepare for this is to actually buy water bricks. You can buy, so we have 5-gallon water jugs that, and 5 gallons of water would be enough to last one person about 5 or 6 days. So what you really want to be thinking of, you want to plan for probably 2 weeks if you can. Okay. But you can buy those water storage jugs. Again, the average person is going to use 1 gallon of water per day. So you want to be thinking of that. Now let's talk about ways to filter and clean your water. You can buy a water distiller. So we have a water distiller. We actually love the water distiller as our daily drinking water. We remineralize it after. So a water distiller is great because it is one of the most purified forms of water, but it literally takes everything out of the water. And you just take your tap water, you put it in the distiller, it heats it to the point of steam, and then it evaporates and drips down into your glass pitcher, and that's the end result. But then you have to remineralize it, otherwise you're going to really deplete your body over time. Some people drink distilled water as part of cleanse programs because they actually want to pull things out of the system, but it's not safe or healthy long term. So you need to remineralize it. But I love having a water distiller in the house. And I gave you the link to the one we have and the minerals that we use to add back in. Berkeys are good as well. They're nice because they don't require power. Okay, so think about that situation. If you had access to water and you just want to be able to filter it, then a Berkey is going to be really smart. Now, a lot of homes, aside from the power issue, you may be thinking, on a more daily basis, how do you want to make your home a little healthier when it comes to water? A reverse osmosis unit in the house is really great. You can even so you can obviously purchase reverse osmosis for the sink tap in the kitchen, for example, just for drinking water. But you can put an RO filter to do your entire home, a whole home filter. So that would actually pull a lot of the stuff out that you would be sitting in the bath or shower in as well, right? Now, a few other things I wanted to mention. I don't know if I put it here. Oh, it's behind me. I pulled out some things for you, but I've got the, I'm trying to point. Nope, wrong way. Left, right. I can't. There, nope, there we go. That tall thing in the background is a life straw. It's not even that tall. It's like not even a foot. So life straws are filtration straws that you could use if you had to leave your house and go down to the creek or the lake or something, and you can actually drink right from that water source. So you might want to purchase a set of life straws for each person in your home. There's also water purification tabs you can purchase to cleanse. You could get a bunch of water, throw it in your bathtub and add those. But crucial to have a plan around clean drinking water. So that is probably the first thing you want to be thinking of and looking at. The second thing is food and food storage. So personally, we have at least a month supply of food at almost all times. So we have a little freezer that we have in the garage, which stores enough substantial protein, meat for a month. That's generally where we store all of our meat. We keep it in the freezer. We pull out a couple each week. But I keep that fully stocked for a month's worth of good protein. We keep that in a little freezer that we bought. It's just in the garage. Now, there are food storage calculators you can use to determine based on how many people live in your home what you want to have. But if you have a pantry, it would be wise to set up yourself to have about a month worth of food in terms of, and I gave you a list of things to consider, like rice and beans and lentils and quinoa. And the key thing here is that you're always rotating, right? You're keeping it going, but you're just building out. So you're not, if you're somebody who's typically shopping just for the week, then maybe this is something just to start considering, if it's within the budget, to do a larger order right now and then just keep rotating that as you work through what you're actually using, so that you have more than just a week or 2 weeks on hand. And I gave you some other tips to consider here in terms of storing dry bulk food in food safe containers for more longer term storage. Growing your own food, I saw some conversations on here around that. It's going to be an essential skill going forward. I saw the funniest meme the other day that the men of the future won't be looking for women who are doing, viral reels on Instagram and like caring about those things, but it's women who actually can clean a chicken and grow their own food. And, it's just like, it went on and on. I'm not going to get into it here because it talked about things that will get me shut off, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it's just the skills of the future are going to be very different than the things that are rewarded and recognized right now, right? So growing your own food, back to that topic, is something that if you can, why not, right? If you have some land in the backyard, why not, instead of growing grass, make your backyard useful. Get every square inch working for you. Make it a big, messy garden. Just start growing your own food. Now, if you live in seasonal areas where you have hard winters, it's a little more challenging, and that's where having an indoor garden can be helpful. So we have 2 that we've used. At our home in Canada, we had a different growing unit. Grow Vertical was the name. I was trying to think of it. The one that I'm using now here in Florida that I love is called the Rise Garden. You guys have probably seen it on my Instagram, and I love it because you start off your little seedlings in sprout form. So you sprout them, they start to grow. You can keep them in your Rise Garden, or once they've grown to 70% maturity, you can move them out to the actual garden. So we have I have 4 different raised gardens. I purchased them online. Or you can build them, right? You can totally build them. If you have someone handy in your life, that's great too. But you can purchase raised gardens and keep it going. Just keep that going. It's a nice backup plan even. I mean, I try to have a nice big salad every day. So even practically, I go and grab fresh greens every time I make a salad from either the indoor grower or outside. But it is smart to do that if you can. Okay, and then a few other things on there I won't go into on here because I'm going to talk about that when I talk about a go bag. Tower garden's another one. You've probably seen the tower gardens. They look like a tower. They're white and they've got all of the greens, all the plants growing out the side of them. So there's lots of different ones out there. I think it's a very innovative way to turn typical furniture into something that actually is working for you in your house. Functional furniture, just like I was saying, having a functional backyard as opposed to just plants that look pretty. Grow things that you can actually eat, right? So just something to think about there. Light. What's the plan if you have no power and you want to have light? So there's simple things here to consider. And again, this serves as just a nice call to action. Like, because here's what this has been for me. A to-do list that sat in the back of my mind for too long as, we really need to do that. We really need to do that. And again, I started this whole blog 2 years ago. So let this be a call to action this week for all of us. Let's look at what we need to, and a lot of these things are simple, like not big purchases, right? But it's just something that in the moment you would kick yourself if all the power went out for 3 days. And you had no light for 3 days, and you thought, why didn't I grab some of those solar powered flashlights when I had a chance, right? So anyway, I mean, obviously there'll be varying degrees of situations we could find ourselves in. If there's a complete power outage and you can't even purchase online or anything, then we're really in trouble. So, you want to be thinking, okay, what if things got pretty bad for a couple weeks or for a month? would we as a family be okay? What would be our plan? And if we don't have the ability to be okay based on our current situation, who do we know that has been able to do this? Like, this is where community comes in real big, right? We want to be able to know, who can help and what they contribute. And you certainly contribute in other ways if you can't contribute through actual items that you have in the house or food. You got skills, baby, right? Okay, so light sources: solar powered flashlights, solar powered candles, a solar lantern, headlamp. Let's get real nerdy. But I love the solar powered ones, and so here's an example of a solar powered flashlight. I have a solar powered charger. I love using solar as an energy source. The one thing I've noticed though with a lot of these products, they can't just go in the windowsill. They have to actually be in the sun. And I love that it works that way because we've talked about this before. You can feel it in people when they have like true light and true truth and not this false light baloney that's saturating our world right now. That's the difference between the sun as a pure source and holding this up to a computer screen. Okay, so I love that they work that way. But solar is a good angle to take when it comes to what you're purchasing, because you'll probably find yourself being able to use the sun to convert it. So anyway, those are linked for you. Now let's talk about power. So keeping an extra tank of gasoline. It's going up right now, right? So if you can, grab it before it continues to keep climbing, but have something so that, and always keep your car at least 3/4 of a tank filled with gas all the time. Okay. Extra propane tank if possible. Solar powered phone chargers. I just talked about that. I have those linked in the prep shop. Spare batteries, having all the different kinds you may need. Enough to, again, you're thinking about your situation. What would you need to be powering up? You want to have those backups there. Solar powered portable generator. This is great for smaller appliances. And then obviously you could do a larger gas or propane generator. Our home in Canada, we had a gas generator installed to be ready for all the things. We haven't done that here. So that's on our list right now, but it's something just to be thinking about. What would be your needs in order to power up your home? And again, especially if you live somewhere where, in places like Canada, right? Winter will be ending soon, but it's just something to be thinking about. Like what would that look like next fall and winter, right? So what would be the plan to be able to stay warm? This is a topic, depending on where you live, that you'd be thinking about more. And then some other things I put on there, just good to have under this power category. It has nothing to do with really prepping, but I thought I would just mention it, is having taking the time to put outlet timers on various lamps, on your Wi-Fi router. If you're looking to cut back on the amount of EMF pumping through your home, you can put your Wi-Fi router on a timer so that it shuts off while you're sleeping. And while you're at it, grab an EMF reader. I linked up the one that we have. You can see how much is being emitted from various power sources, computers, lights, things like that. So I just put it in there because I thought it was one of those things, as you're thinking about preparing your home. It's not just preparing for something to happen, but it's thinking about how do you actually set up your home to be just really working for you and just more functional, perhaps working in a healthier way for you. Okay, fire. So warmth. So stocking up on matches, lighters, having a flint fire starter. I have actually no idea how to use this. I asked firefighter hubby, how do you use this? So with a lot of these little things, you'll notice I have them in the list to have in a kit in your home. But one of the things I didn't mention at the start of this was you'll want to have ideally 2 of everything, so that you have these items in what we call a go bag And I'll talk about that at the end. But this would be an example of something you'd want to have two of. So one in the house and then one to have in a go bag. And you strike it. Yes, Julie. So he grabbed his knife. He's like, you just strike it. And that starts a fire. I'm like, that's genius. I love that, right? Because if you were out and you didn't have matches or whatever, I just feel like this is a helpful tool. And this one comes with a compass, which I also don't know how to use. So I've got some growing to do there. Everyone who knows me well knows I'm the worst at directions, so I'm okay admitting that, whatever. I'm sure Chris is on here watching this. I'm surprised he's not commenting. I'm just lobbing these. This is just easy strikes, babe. Okay, let's go on. So firewood bundles and a bag. You can actually, I learned this as I was going through this process. Lint from your dryer can actually be a great fire starter. When you're working with, like if you're looking to get the wood to really catch on and create a good fire, you can actually use lint from your dryer. So just a little tip I learned I want to share with you. I put it in the notes here. Extinguishers on each floor. My firefighter husband would like you all to do that. He would also like you to check your smoke alarms and make sure they're working, and to have a carbon monoxide alarm on each floor outside of the bedroom. So as we're thinking about prepping for things, let's just take the extra time to go through the house and make sure it's well set up. If you guys are just hopping in, I'm referring to a checklist I created for you, wholefit.com/blog/the prepped home. Okay, so that's where you can find this checklist. Okay, and I'll save this video after, and I'll put the link in the comments. You guys are getting kicked off Instagram? Whatever, Instagram. All right, so on to self-defense. Think about what is your way of protecting yourself if something was to happen in your home. So if you live in an area where you can have legal firearms or a crossbow, why not have that stored safely in the house, right? A way to protect yourself. A knife, fixed blade knife. My husband loves knives. So again, obviously not as ideal if something happened in your home. Because you don't want to have to get within too close of a distance, but still helpful to have. I also recommend having a stun gun. So we keep these, and it's pink. Chris loves that it's pink. You can buy other colors. I bought pink. And this, we keep one on each side of the driver's, what am I trying to say here? The car door of the driver's seats and the front passenger. So we have two in the car on each side. So what you want to be thinking of here, as we're talking about preparing, you're just thinking about different situations you find yourself in. If you're driving, if you pull over for gas, you're alone at a gas station, you're the only one in the car, and you're on your phone texting somebody, and you're at the gas station alone, and somebody comes right up to your window. You want something that you can easily grab. We keep these right in the cubby of the door, so you can easily grab it. You guys are dying that it's pink. It's baby pink too. It's like, of course, right? And this is also a flashlight. So you could, there we go, see? So it's actually very effective too if you didn't want to use the stun gun, or if you wanted to use both. You could shine a flashlight very strongly into somebody's eyes and then stun, and then drive off. Okay. So and honestly, I think this was $15. So just really helpful to have. You could obviously keep one in your home, but something like this, you're going to want to talk about with the kids. Make sure, even though it's pink, we don't touch it. Okay. Channeling our inner Katniss, right? Okay. And then pepper spray is another thing you might want to consider to have even in the car, especially if you're somebody who goes for runs out in the woods, whatever. These are good things to be thinking about. Medical and sanitary, I'm going to roll through this really quickly. So this is the time when you're thinking about your house and setting it up. Think of the list of medications that you have. What would be your plan if you had to get out of the house quickly? You'd want to have a printed list of any medications you're taking, right? A first aid kit stocked with the essentials. So can you hear the dog? Every time, it never fails. Anyone who has a French bulldog recognizes that whine. He should be done. He's done. First aid kit stocked with the essentials: Band-Aids, I also would recommend a first aid kit of essential oils. There are specific essential oils, tea tree and lavender, for example, that you can use for a plethora of reasons. I put a little first aid starter kit together. If this is something that you want to use as your entry point into essential oils, is getting the first aid type essentials, then I put a little kit together for you. So you'll find that on that landing page as well. Thermal blankets. These are really small. These can be helpful, especially if you live somewhere like Florida, where you might be needing to create some shelter. These can create warmth and shelter. So they're very small. I have like a pack of 5. So we've got several in the go bag and several in the house. Latex gloves, safety glasses, a tourniquet, and then having at least 3 months worth of your self-care products on hand, if possible. Toothpaste, soap, hair care, face care, deodorant, things like that. Because with something like this, you want to be thinking like, okay, if there was something that was stopping you from being able to get out to the store. I mean, obviously our world's evolved so much. There's delivery, there's different ways around this, but it's good to feel more independent of needing to rely on stores on a weekly basis, right? So it helps to be able to plan for these things. Oh, cool. Maggie said tea tree oil just healed a massive hematoma in my dog's ear and avoided surgery. Yeah, it's a powerful, often overlooked oil. It's very medicinal, antiseptic. It's a key one for first aid kits. So, and tea tree oil is one that a lot of parents use if they have young children with any kind of ear issues. That's a common one. So I'm so thrilled to know you had that experience. That's great, Maggie. Okay, so communication. Solar powered charger for phone. I mentioned this earlier. These are smart. We have a couple of these. A solar powered one-way NOAA radio. I've got that linked for you there. What if you had no way to communicate? A pack of long-range adult walkie-talkies. We have a set of these. The kids love playing with them. But again, this is something, and these dock in a simple charger. It's super easy. We just keep them charged at all times and quick and easy to grab if we needed to communicate with them. A whistle. A whistle with a very high pitch would be helpful. So I've got this one linked. And again, have a couple of these, right? Have one in the house, have one in the go bag, maybe have one in the car as well. I also put on here ExpressVPN. So this is, a lot of you have asked me about this when I've talked about it on Instagram in the past. This is a way of protecting your browsing history. So this is one of those things you want to be thinking about in just keeping your home safer. Especially for those of you in Canada, I want to just really call this out. So Trudeau has put this forward yet again. It's either the second or third time he has put this bill forward to Parliament to be able to monitor / restrict the type of content that Canadians can access, information-wise. A virtual private network, a VPN, is going to be important in situations like this. But in general, all people will want to have a way of protecting their browsing history, their information. So it's just smart in this world we're living in. So I use ExpressVPN. We have it linked on about 5 different devices, phones, and our main computers. And I definitely had that on when we were living in Canada because it'll go through, you guys. It'll go through. The longer he is allowed to remain in power, he's going to keep pushing these things through. So just, again, get ahead of it. Get ahead of it. I think that link that I put in the checklist is, it'll give you, I think, 3 months free out of a year. Yeah, I know it is disturbing, but I think I want to encourage us to come into a state of being that, again, is, okay, that happens. This is my plan. Let's channel that energy. No more allowing them to siphon our precious energy anymore. And this is why this topic is on my heart. And I don't know, you guys are saying I keep getting booted off. My signal's still strong, so I'm going to keep going. But do not give them that over you, right? So how do you do that? You get really practical. You move into a state of being that doesn't allow them to siphon your energy through whatever they're trying. Because again, they need your permission. They need access. So, by having a plan in place, this is just requiring a new level of awareness in these days. Discernment, awareness, you need to understand what's going on, but not be scared. And you need to have a plan in place that just keep asking yourself, if that was to happen, this is what I would do, right? Last two things for communication bucket, a paper map or atlas of your surrounding area in case you don't have reception. So I bought a paper map. I'm not good with directions. If my Waze app went down, you guys, if I wasn't able to access my phone, I mean, thank goodness that Chris has a better sense of direction, but honestly, I'd be done. I wouldn't know where I was going. Have a paper map of where you live, the surrounding area. If you had to get out quick and you had no access to an app, to power or whatever, what would you be doing? And then a contact list of people to notify in an emergency. So again, this is just a call to action to be thinking about how prepared am I if something was to happen? As of right now, I don't have some of these things done, right? So this is on my tackle list this week. I've done much of these things already, but a contact list of people to notify, and even thinking about people I know. Who do I know that knows things? Who do I know that has skills that I don't? These are the kinds of things you just want to put a plan together around. Write it down. And then documents, having a photocopy of your most important documents, your passport, your birth certificate, health card, your SIN or your social security number, prescriptions, bank account info. Take the time to make copies of all that. If a fire hit your home tomorrow, what would you do? Do you have something you can grab right away as you're running out the door, right? This is what you want to be thinking about. Hard copies of passports, birth certificates, etc. in a waterproof bag. This is another key one. Having an updated list of emergency contacts and the closest hospitals. And then cash, if you can, have at least $500 in cash in small rolled bills. So roll it up, keep them small. Think about it, if the power grid went down and you weren't able to use credit cards to pay for things, it's going to be left to people who have cash. And so if you can, have a roll of small bills up to about $500 or more if you can. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a go bag. So the idea here is having basically duplicates of what you have in your house. The go bag is not something that you draw from or use on a typical basis. You want to keep it as a reserve, something that you grab and go if you had to. So we have an 80 liter, this is the size, an 80 liter go bag, which is large enough for us to fit what we need for 4 of us. So they have different sizes. But having a bag that you can grab that's waterproof, that has everything you need in it, is wise. And you could keep it in the pantry or in the garage, again, something you could grab and go. So you're going to basically have one of, and I gave you a list for packing the go bag here, but one of all of these things that we've just talked about that would have basically duplicates, right? So, and this is where you could also think about keeping duplicates of all your important documents in a Ziploc bag. You could keep a little case of granola bars, some bottled water. Again, the idea here is, here in Florida, if a hurricane was blowing in unexpectedly, we could grab that and go to where we need to be safe, right? You want to be thinking about your area and what you may be faced with. Oh yeah, good point. Don't forget stuff for pets. That's right. I do have that on this list to have pet food, but whatever your pet may need as well. So again, the idea is we're not preparing for the end of the world here, but we're thinking in these turbulent times, what can I do to be more prepared as a family? It is the responsible thing to do. And I bet our grandparents, this was just life. This is, you think about, if you own a home, if you have children, as the leaders in that home, how safe is your home? How prepared are you in your home, in leading your home? So it's wise. And I I didn't grow up thinking this way. Some families do. Some families build prepping into the way they do things. And it's just like, well, yeah, you have bricks of water stored, of course. But not all of us grow up thinking that way, right? Yeah, exactly. Nadia said in the same way we have life insurance, car insurance, etc. It's just another important piece. And it's wise in these times, guys, because it is so turbulent right now. There is so much changing from week to week. And I mean, if you lived your life every day on mainstream media, they'll grab you by the hand every day and tell you where they want you to go, what they want you to believe, and what they want you to be scared of today. They want to keep you in this constant trauma drama cycle all the time. And it's the act of taking ownership like this and preparing yourself creates a level of confidence in your state of being that allows you to not be siphoned by these people. We are living through times that I know many of us never thought we would see. So this resource, like I mentioned, I've got it pinned there, holfit.com/blog/the prepped home. I ended it with some helpful resources like Fieldcraft. I love their resources. They have a great YouTube channel with lots of videos. I was talking to Chris the other day about this. He's going to start doing a session with the girls, and probably with me too, each week, just from the Fieldcraft YouTube channel. Just talking about, different topics, different scenarios, raising our girls to be homegrown little leaders, right? This is where I love the gift of homeschooling, where we can really raise them up well to be prepared and to be able to navigate this world, right? So lots of great resources there. I gave you some different links to check out My Patriot Supply, theprepared.com, different books to consider having. Again, if you didn't have a phone that told you what to do in a situation, if you needed to do some first aid, would you know how to if you didn't have a phone? So why not have a book in your home that actually helps you with that, right? And then there's a link in the resource to a first aid kit with doTERRA oils if you'd like to start your essential oil lifestyle that way. There's a prepped home shop which links everything that I mentioned today, the ones that we've used. So that's all there for you there. But really, this topic is my favorite. The topic of being ready for anything. It's something I really value. And if you've been here a while, you know that that's the reason I started doing the work that I do with doTERRA too, is to be able to offer people two ways to remove the hooks in their life, to be more free in their healthcare and in their finances. Those are two key ways that you can keep people right where you want them. And I've done my best to be a big problem to that agenda in those ways. And I want to believe that still matters to people, to want to take that ownership in a time where it's becoming increasingly easy to take the easy road. It's, my goodness. I mean, these are not easy times, right? That you have to really have that endurance and stay sharp through these times and just continue to pray and ask for guidance in the way you need to go and what you need to be aware of. It's not going to be found in the media or in the news. It's through sharing like this. I mean, I'm happy we're on here and we've got hundreds on live and we can talk about things like that. There will come a day where we probably can't, right? It is what it is. So I think it's just so helpful to get ourselves rooted in the right information and to become as independent as possible of these systems as they are collapsing, as they are restructuring, and to maybe never participate in them like we did before. So this is really about self-leadership and on that note of just discerning the times like this and preparing ourselves, this is a really important time to to get our hearts right, to really define clearly what we believe and who we are, to know our Creator. The reason that we can't make sense of these times, guys, is because we're trying to see them through this physical lens. We're trying to make sense of things that actually are impossible to explain in the physical, because this is a very spiritual situation we are dealing with right now. And if you haven't come to realize that or experience that yet, then you probably will if you are humble to ask and to pray about that, and humbled enough to understand there is much more to what is going on than what you can even determine from just the physical and what you're reading every day, what you're being told every day. So this, in the topic of preparation, it's a really important time to be preparing our hearts and to be very diligent in where we are giving our time. And I'm praying that each of you that were here today, that you step forward with a boldness in these times, that you know who you are, that you know whose you are, and that you do not allow these people to siphon your energy anymore. This is going to continue rolling, but this is about taking a stand, and not something you have to even publicly declare, but it's about taking a stand in your home and knowing through that confidence that you are going to be okay. This is about zipping up. I posted about this last night. I was up till 1 a.m. last night. This has become pretty typical lately because we're in a very, as a family, we're in a very, very busy, it's been stressful, flipping our whole head or our whole life on its head. I know many of you are feeling this, right? I'm not alone. Like that's kind of what's going on. But really zipping it all up to come into complete alignment with God's plan for our life, to the point that everywhere I look in our life, it must not feel lukewarm. There must be a complete resonance of values there. That is what I believe this season is about right now. Planting seeds, looking at every element and asking, is this working anymore? Is this time right now clarifying for me the changes that I need to make? Is this time a gift? Yeah, because it's inviting us to really change things up that weren't working, and to honor that call on our heart to make these changes. How many of you have made changes that you were feeling provoked about prior to the last 2 years? And it was like, this was what you needed, that push. But this certainly is not a time to be taking the easy road. And I know how tired we all are. It's tiring to be going through it, and different countries at different times are going through this in devastating ways. But narrow is the gate, friends. And I am so impressed by each of you that are in the trenches right now. Do not give up. Keep going deeper. I believe that as you do that, God has his hand on your life and on your plans. And all we can do is continue to take action on the guidance and to access that peace that comes through that, because it's not going to be found by following what the mainstream or the government or whoever is telling you is your access pass to peace and freedom and wholeness. It's not going to come that way. So anyway, let's come back to some comments, questions before we wrap up. We've already gone an hour. So sometimes for these talks, I like to have a topic that we explore like today, but usually I just want to come on and have coffee with you guys and talk and hang out. So so many of you are doing what I was just referring to. It's just flipping it all on its head. Where should we put our money? I don't know where you should put your money. This is I'm a big fan of physical assets and diversifying. That's what we do. That's what we are working towards more of. And by that, I mean, don't have everything in one bank. I am not a fan of investments that I can't touch. So I can touch gold and silver. I can touch land. I can't touch that crypto. I don't know. Someone's going to come on here and start educating me on crypto now. But listen, I'm not a fan at this point. I'm also not a fan of stocks either. What a joke. Just because they can decide it's time for the market to rise, I don't want to play that game. I want to be able to touch it. I also value good hard work and earning through that. So I don't like a lot of these conversations happening right now when it comes to investing. But I think from a safety and planning perspective, I think it's wise to diversify, to not have everything in one bank or in one business or opportunity. If you can get a couple things going, I think that that's very smart. Let's see. This is the point where I'll have to edit the audio out when I upload this as a podcast because there'll be like a minute of silence as I scroll the comments. Hey Dina, I love you. Okay, lots of great comments here. I want to invite you guys to take a moment and scroll these comments before we end the live because you'll meet a new friend here. Find somebody who you just really resonate with what they've posted and shoot them a message and let them know and thank them. Social distance from the systems. Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Oh, okay. It says we get the tools for the fresh you and downloading the prepped home resource. Okay, I'll double check the resource and see. Has anyone downloaded it with success? Because I just fired it up there about an hour ago, so I didn't have a chance to go through and double check everything. Maybe if somebody here live can let me know if you've already downloaded it. Some people are saying that it's not downloading the proper PDF. It's such a relief to exist for this moment in time with so many who are preparing for this reality rather than living in a programmed reality with those whose heads seem to be in the sand. Thank you, Angie. Yeah, right. I relate to that for sure. Well, good. I'm glad this feels like good timing for you guys because this again is something I had planned to post 2 years ago, and we're mostly through this list in terms of being prepared, but my plan is to do this and then do it each year during daylight savings to just use that as a prompting. Okay, so thank you. Someone just confirmed that you're getting the wrong PDF. So I'm going to go in and correct that right now. So maybe check back in about an hour. It should be good to go for you guys. But hey, Tanya. She said any single mom is on here navigating and planning. Message Tanya there, you guys, on Instagram, if you're in the same boat. I'm also trying to prep alone. Husband's not on board. That's cool. Listen, many people aren't on board with these things until something happens and then they're grateful someone was on board. So just do it anyway. Follow your heart here. Pray about it. This is, again, you've got to, you'll know. I'm sure some of you were already thinking about this and then this topic popped on today and you're like, there's the confirmation I needed, right? This is what happens when you know you're being guided. You're going to see it multiple times. You'll receive the same message. So pay attention to that when that happens. All the money's under the mattress. Great. And what if there's a fire? Just, again, plan for all scenarios, right? Do you have, let me see here. A lot of you are talking about crypto. Yeah, I know it's working for a lot of people. There's something about it. I'm still not sold. A lot of you looking at gold and silver. I think that's a smart bet. Okay, let's wrap up for today. I wanted to let you know I will not be on for 4 p.m. coffee date next week. On Sunday, what's the date of that? Is that the 12th? It's either the 12th or 13th, whatever date that is, because that night I'm going to be hooking up with some of my friends in doTERRA to do a round table. We do these a couple times a year. Maybe you've joined them in the past. At 7 p.m. Eastern. next Sunday. So no 4 p.m. coffee, but we'll hang out 7 p.m. for a doTERRA roundtable. It's just, we keep it pretty loose and casual. We talk about, you can bring questions to it that we discuss. I think we go about an hour, and you can find the registration link at holfit.com/roundtable. So that'll be next week's plan if you want to hang out with us there. All right, you guys, I'm going to close out for today. Do you keep 3 months worth of most necessities and supplements? Yes, that's in general how I've always done things when it comes to self-care, supplements, essential oils, things like that is about 3 months worth. Great questions, great comments. Thanks for hanging out live, you guys. Lots of love to you, and I'll get this PDF fixed right now so you can download the proper one. And we'll either see you next week at the roundtable or the week after for coffee date. Okay, bye for now.